Our speaker is Sandra Langeslag from University of Missouri, St. Louis, United States. Today she presents her talk on the topic, Comparing Romantic Love and Chocolate Craving in terms of craving, attention, valence, and arousal.
Hi, my name is Sandra Langeslag, and I'm an associate professor in psychological and brain sciences at the University of Missouri in St. Louis in the United States. I'm the director of the Neurocognition of Emotion and Motivation Lab there, and I'm excited to tell you about our study in which we are comparing romantic love with chocolate craving. So romantic love and chocolate seem linked. Chocolate is a popular Valentine's Day gift, and eating chocolate is a common way to cope with heartbreak. In addition, research has shown that eating chocolate may satisfy the need for sex. So that got me thinking. And in previous work, I've shown that people who are in love have greater attention for their beloved than for other people. And research has also shown that people who crave chocolate have an attentional bias for chocolate versus other palatable foods, such as pizza and fries, for example. So the research questions of the current study are, do people who are both in love and are chocolate cravers have more attention for their beloved or for chocolate cues? And I also wanted to test the subjective experience. So I also wanted to test if people who are both in love and are chocolate cravers experience different craving, pleasantness, and or arousal for their beloved and chocolate. So far we've tested 10 adult participants and data collection is in progress. They have normal or corrected to normal vision. They identify as a chocolate craver, and they also report to be in love. And we are making sure that we're only testing people who are in love with someone who does not identify as a chocolate craver, so that the pictures of their beloved don't also serve as chocolate cues. When participants come into the lab, they answer some general questions about themselves, about their beloved, and about their chocolate consumption. And then we give them 2 questionnaires to assess craving of the beloved and craving of chocolate. Then we have them do a dot probe task, which is a computer task to test their attention for beloved cues and chocolate cues, and we have them complete some valence and arousal ratings. So the general questions showed that participants had been in love for an average of 79.4 months, which is about 6.5 years. Most participants, 9 out of 10, were in a relationship with their beloved. 1 was married, 5 were cohabitating but not married, and 3 were not married and also not cohabitating. The average relationship duration was 68.3 months, which is about 5.5 years. Their average chocolate liking was 6.5 on a scale of 1 to 7, so they really liked chocolate. And they consume chocolate on average 19 times per month, which is every 2 days, every 1.5 days. The questions to measure craving were modified using the questionnaire on smoking urges. So the questionnaire on smoking urges tests how much craving people feel for a cigarette. So it consists of 10 questions, and here are 2 example questions. So I have a desire for a cigarette right now, or nothing would be better than smoking a cigarette right now. And we modified all those questions to either are about the beloved. So I have a desire for my beloved right now, and nothing would be better than being with my beloved right now. And then also another version in which we replaced cigarette with chocolate. So I have a desire for chocolate right now, and nothing would be better than eating chocolate right now. And the score on the questionnaire where beloved replaced cigarette was on average 5.0, and the mean score on the questionnaire where chocolate replaced cigarette was 3.8, and that was significantly different. And so these questionnaire scores indicate that people crave their beloved more than they craved chocolate. Here's the dot probe task, so I'll talk you through it. First, participants see a fixation cross on the screen for 1 second, and they are told to fixate on it. Then, for 500 milliseconds, 2 pictures are shown, one on the left and one on the right of the fixation cross. And this could either be 2 chocolate pictures, such as in this case. They could be 2 beloved pictures that the participants have submitted, or they could be 1 chocolate and 1 beloved picture, and of course that's then counterbalanced which one's on the left and which one's on the right. So they are still fixating at this fixation cross while these 2 pictures are presented for half a second. Then the pictures disappear and a dot appears either on the left or on the right, so behind one of those pictures. And the participants are asked to press a button to indicate if the dot is on the left or the right. as fast and accurately as possible. In this task, there are 32 pictures of the beloved that the participants submitted to us. We provided 32 pictures of people eating chocolate or holding chocolate. And there were a total of 128 trials. And we recorded accuracy and reaction times for correct responses. And we excluded responses that were too fast or too slow to be meaningful. Okay, so participants did very well on this task. The mean accuracy, so saying that whether the dot was on the left or the right, was 99%. And there was no difference between the conditions. So that was good. And then what we were really interested in was reaction time, to see how fast are people responding to a dot that appears behind the chocolate picture or that appears behind the beloved picture. And the idea is, if you are already paying attention to a certain picture and the dot appears behind it, then you're going to be faster to respond to that dot than when the dot was behind a picture that you were not attending to at the time. So that's the logic of the dot probe task. And so we compare trials with one beloved and one chocolate picture, and then we compared the ones that had the dot behind the beloved picture or the dot behind the chocolate picture. There was no difference in those reaction times. So when the dot was behind a beloved picture, they responded within half a second. And also when the dot was behind a chocolate picture, and this was not significantly different. So there was no attentional bias to beloved or chocolate pictures. But even though this dot probe task is a very simple task to do for participants, it allows for even more in-depth testing of different types of attention. So this was just attentional bias, but this dot probe task can also test orienting, which is how much people shift their attention to a certain stimulus. So how quickly are you switching to either a beloved picture or maybe a chocolate picture? We found, with only 10 participants, a trend towards faster reaction times when the dot was behind a beloved picture on trials where there was one beloved picture and one chocolate picture, than when there were two chocolate pictures and the dot was behind a chocolate picture. That means that participants showed a trend towards orienting to beloved pictures when they were presented with these pictures. We also tested if there was orienting towards chocolate pictures, but there was not, because there were similar reaction times when the dot replaced the chocolate pictures on trials with a beloved and a chocolate picture than when there were two beloved pictures. And then we tested whether these two measures of orienting were statistically different, and there was a trend. So there was a trend towards greater orienting to the beloved than chocolate pictures. The dot probe task also allows to test for attention disengagement, which is if you have difficulty disengaging from a stimulus, then once it has attracted your attention, you find it very difficult to move on to something else. So difficulty disengaging is how much difficulty people have shifting their attention away from a certain stimulus. We found no difficulty disengaging from chocolate pictures because there were similar reaction times when the dot replaced a beloved picture on trials with one beloved and one chocolate picture versus trials with two beloved pictures. We did find a trend towards difficulty of disengaging from beloved pictures because there was a trend towards a faster reaction time when the dot replaced a chocolate picture on trials with one chocolate picture and one beloved picture than on trials with two chocolate pictures. However, the difference between these two measures was not significantly different. So we conclude for now that there was no difference between beloved and chocolate pictures between the difficulty disengaging. At the end of the testing session, we asked participants to rate their pleasantness and their arousal on a 1 to 9 scale. So these were the mannequins that they were shown. The mannequin on the left here feels very unpleasant. The mannequin on the right here feels very pleasant. And the mannequin in the middle is neutral. And then we asked participants to press a number to indicate how they felt, how pleasant they felt, while looking at each of the beloved and each of the chocolate pictures. For each picture, they also rated their arousal level on a scale of 1 to 9, ranging from very calm to very excited, and again with neutral in the middle. And the results showed that people felt much more pleasant when looking at beloved pictures than when looking at chocolate pictures. And they also felt more aroused when looking at beloved pictures than at chocolate pictures. So to sum up, to conclude, people experience much stronger cravings for their beloved than for chocolate. And there was a trend towards greater orienting to the beloved than to chocolate pictures. Participants also felt more aroused and more pleasant when viewing the beloved than when viewing chocolate. And this casts doubt on the idea that chocolate can be a substitute for romantic love. And so that may be limited. Thank you very much. Thanks to Oluchi Onyegbula and Vidal Johnson, who were the research assistants that have been assisting so far in helping collect the data. And of course, thank you. I look forward to connecting at the conference.